Hey, what's going on guys? RVZ Stealth here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on the best AD carries for Preseason 5 patch 4.21. So first up on my list I have Ezreal, but I just want to let you guys know again that the honorable mentions could have been at the number 5 spot. It was really hard for me to decide who to choose for the number 5 spot on the list, so any of the honorable mentions could have been here. But when I get to honorable mentions at the end of the video, I'll explain to you guys why I have Ezreal at the number 5 spot as opposed to one of the champions who is on the honorable mentions. So pros to Ezreal are he's got great poke. If you can land your Q consistently, it does a lot of damage, especially in the early game, and you can use that to poke down your opponents really well. He's also got he's got good mobility because of his E, and his ultimate is very versatile. You can use it to clear waves, you can use it to finish off low health targets, so it's really nice to have that option with Ezreal's ultimate. He's also a kiting machine. If you build Iceborne Gauntlet on Ezreal, because of his mobility on his E and because of the slow that you're going to be getting, if you land your Q, it's just really hard to target an Ezreal and you can just kite for days. Some cons to Ezreal are he's very skill shot reliant. One of the most skill shot reliant AD carries in the game, so if you're not good at landing skill shots, then I would definitely not recommend playing Ezreal, and he is pretty weak when behind as well. Next up on my list, I have Sivir. So pros to Sivir are she counters a lot of CC support because of her spell shield. So for example, Blitzcrank, Thresh, Morgana, she counters them pretty well because when they use their hook or when Morgana uses her binding, Sivir can just use her spell shield and completely negate their engage. She's also got insane wave clear with her Q and her W, some of the best wave clear in the game for an AD carry, and she's got a very strong ultimate as well. You can use Sivir's ultimate in so many situations. You can use it to engage, you can use it to disengage, so it's just a really strong part of her kit, and it's a really good ultimate for solo queue. She's also got pretty good poke in lane as well with her Q. Some cons to Sivir are she does have a shorter auto attack range and she doesn't have a gap closer as well. Next up on my list I have Jinx. So pros to Jinx are she's got global presence with her ultimate. She can use it to finish off low health targets across the map or just finish off a low health target in lane. And she's also a pretty strong laner because she's got great range with her Q. She's also got really strong CC for an AD carry with her W and her E, and she's one of the best tower pushing AD carries in the game because of the passive on her Q. She also snowballs really hard. If you can get your core items on Jinx, then she starts to do a load of damage, and her passive is also really strong, especially when team fighting. If you can pick up an assist or a kill in a team fight, then it's going to be really hard for the enemies to catch you. Some cons to Jinx though are she doesn't have a gap closer, so you do have to be decent position wise as an AD carry if you're looking to have success with Jinx, because she doesn't have any mobility, so if you aren't very good at positioning then you will get caught out quite often. Next up on my list, and at the number 2 spot, I have Graves. So pros to Graves are he's a very bursty AD carry, especially when you hit level 6 as Graves. He's got a lot of all-in potential, so I definitely recommend trying to go for an all-in when you hit level 6 as Graves, especially if the enemy laners are only level 5. He's also got great mobility on his E, and every time he auto attacks it reduces the cooldown of his E, so that's really strong for just staying really mobile in teamfights and staying mobile in lane. His passive is also really strong because it grants him armor, and he's a pretty strong laner as well. Cons to Graves though are he does get outscaled by some of the other AD carries. For example, Jinx and Corki are a few champions who come late game will be able to duel him pretty easily, and he also does have a shorter auto attack range than most of the AD carries. So number 1 on my list for Preseason 5 patch 4.21 is Corki, and Corki's just such a strong AD carry right now. He's got super crazy burst. He's got an insane Triforce spike. Once you pick up that Triforce the Triforce as Corki, you start to do an insane amount of damage because the item just synergizes so well with him. He's also got a long-range gap closer, one of the longest range gap closers in the game with his W, and he's got really strong poke as well with his Q and his ultimate. He's also really hard to lose lane as too, in my opinion. I rarely lose lane when I'm playing as Corki because he's just such a strong laner. And he's a pretty strong tower pusher as well because he can get a lot of Sheen procs with his ultimate and with his Q and his E. And cons to Corki, I'm really not too sure. Like, there aren't many cons to Corki in my opinion. He does maybe fall off a little bit late game, but other than that, I can't really think of many cons to Corki. If you guys know of any, then leave them in the comments below, but I just think Corki's such a strong AD carry right now, therefore he really doesn't have many cons. So honorable mentions for this patch include Vayne, Caitlyn, Draven, and Lucian. So the reason why I don't have Lucian on my list is because I just think Ezreal is a little bit stronger than him right now. With all the nerfs to Lucian, I think that if you can land your skill shots with Ezreal and you're a strong Ezreal player, that he's a little bit stronger than Lucian. Of course, that's just my opinion, but Lucian could have easily been somewhere on my list, like at the number 5 spot instead of Ezreal, but I just decided to put Ezreal on my list because it was really hard for me to decide between the two of them. Vayne is also a pretty strong AD carry, but she is very mechanically, she requires a good amount of mechanics to play her well, and if you aren't very good at mechanics as an AD carry, then she's not going to be a very strong pick for you because she does have a weaker early game as well. Caitlyn, she's always going to be a pretty strong pick for solo queue because of her long range and because of her decent mobility with her E. So if you're looking for a safe AD carry that can win lane most of the time, then definitely pick up Caitlyn because she's still a very strong pick. And Draven, he's also more of a mechanically intensive champion because you do have to be consistently catching your Qs to deal the maximum amount of damage, and if you can't do that, then you're missing out on a lot of his kit. But if you are a strong Draven player and you can catch your axes, then he's a very rewarding champion as well. So that is all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, then be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're wondering why I didn't include a certain champion on my list, then be sure to comment below asking me why, and I'll get back to you on that shortly. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.